Hi, I'm Tony Williams and you're welcome to Knowing What I Now Know. Now, first of all, I'd like to start today's post by thanking and appreciating every single person who sent me out some birthday wishes over the last few days. Yes, it was my birthday a few days ago. All the wishes all across my social media platforms, those who called, those who text, those who emailed. I want to say a big heartfelt thank you to you guys. Your comments and warm wishes were greatly appreciated. Thank you ever so much. A special thank goes out to one person, my wife. She made my birthday fantastically special, as David Cameron would say. Thank you, baby. Appreciate it. And many more years, to spend together in love, peace, unity, and wealth and health, as they say. Also, thanks to Darina, because Darina gave me some enlightenment on my birthday from Instagram. Darina said, if I was born on the 26th of September, that simply means I'm a Christmas baby. I have never thought that far back in all my years of existence. And the simple link is, if you're born on the 26th of September, that means you got conceived either Christmas night, 25th of December the year before, or Boxing Day the year before. So thanks, Dorina. That really made my day, and that was great enlightenment, and one of the other ones that I would add to my many, many more archives of enlightenment in me. So yeah. Also, it's a good place to say thank you, as I always do, to everybody who interacts with my material, my posts, my website, my social media, for all your efforts. You don't have to, but you choose to. And I want to say I greatly appreciate what you do. What you do is what makes me continue to do what I do. And in a way, I've figured out lately that it's not just giving out, because in response from you guys, I get back as well. So as I give to you, in your comments and your reactions and your different perspective, I learn as well. So this is a case of where iron is sharpening iron, and we're helping each other to grow. So I really appreciate it. Not only that, as I study on materials to put out there, I sort of get more knowledge, more than what I actually thought I had. So looking at it either way is a win-win situation for me. But nevertheless, a big thank you to you guys for all your interactions with me, on all my materials. It's greatly appreciated once again. Also, it's a good place, as I always say, if this is like sort of the first time that you've sort of stumbled across me, or you've seen any of my material, or maybe it's a sponsored post, and anything I say, write, or do, maybe it just resonates with you or gets you thinking a different way, or shifts your mental satellite dish into a different form of reception. All I say is, where that little piece came from, there's so much more that you could retrieve it from the archives. So I say, in order to do that, it's best to just connect, isn't it? Let us just all walk this journey together. And the best way to do that, or the best way to keep in touch or stay tuned to the material I put out there, is just to either follow me on any of my social media platforms. I'm on Facebook, you could follow, I'm on Twitter, you could follow, I'm on YouTube, you could subscribe, I'm on Snapchat where I do my crazy videos, LinkedIn, or even on my website where I send out my weekly newsletter to everyone who's registered and who's sort of signed up to receive it. Either which way, all it is that once the material comes out, regardless of what times it comes out, you be the first to get it. So that's that, and hopefully in doing that, we could just walk this journey together, hand in hand. Excellent. So, having done that, let's dive right into it. Yeah, I was trying to think if there was anything else I had to say. No. So, I want to talk about laws today. And as I mentioned earlier, as I study for material to put out, if it's not, burning questions that people ask me that I feel I have to address, if it's just something that I think I need to sort of put out there in line of personal development, or knowing what I know now, or how, we could just get ourselves from a good place to a great place, I actually do study materials intensely just to make sure that I know what I'm talking about. And just because there's only a bit that your experience could do. Your knowledge would have to kick in and do all the rest. So it sort of dawnted on me that as human beings, we are governed by laws, and people will be thinking that, but you should know that. Yes, I do know that we are governed by laws. We're governed by the laws of the land, which we chose not to abide by onto a certain age, and then we figured, all right, then the only way, if you can't beat them, is to join them. And their natural laws of the land, their natural laws of the laws of the land, and their natural laws of the universe. There's laws like, if I could remember any, laws of relativity, which states that everything is, nothing is what it is. It's only nothing is what it is unless it's related to something else. That's the law of relativity, if I can say it. The law of polarity. Everything has an opposite: black, white, man, woman. High, low. The law of cause and effect. Every action has a reaction. The law of vibration. Nothing rests; it all vibrates. And so many other laws like that. And even the law of science. The law of sciences. Gravity, law of gravitation. Law of mathematics, all sorts of laws. We're governed by laws. These laws are set, they're rules. They're undeviating in their ways. That means they've been tested, they've been tried, and these are what people live by. But it dawned on me that as much as those natural laws are there, and those scientific laws are there, and they're undeviating, as human beings, we have laws as well. Not only laws that govern our physical body, because that would amount to the law of the land, but we have laws that govern our spiritual body. And that spiritual body, and I'm not talking about religion here, but our spiritual body, our tripartite nature. So that means, where man's made of body, spirit, and soul, because check it, we're not just this physical being. We are spiritual beings, having a temporary experience on earth in a physical body or physical being, put it that way. So and that's what the tripartite nature is. Because when this physical body dies, the same life that came into you or me at conception, that life goes away to where it came from. And that life is not just an explosion or evolution from ape to monkey or monkey to, no, that life is from a source. It's from a creator that shares equal life like us, because nothing emanates from nothing. If there's nothing, nothing can emanate from it. There has to be something before something can emanate from it. You have to put a seed in the ground before it turns into, you have to put electricity to something before light could come in. You have to put, nothing just appears all of a sudden and becomes something. It doesn't work like that. So it's been sort of, researched, if that's the best way you want to put it, that as men, human beings, we have this tripartite nature, and that is the body, the spirit, and the soul. And that body, spirit, and soul comes from a source. You might call it a source if you want to. You might call it God. You might call it the universe. Whatever you want to call it. It comes from a realm that is different from this flesh and bones and blood that we, that is physical. Because remember, this at one day would be buried in the ground. It will die, and that's the end of it. But life continues beyond that. And that life that continues beyond that, though it's not in our physical realm, it continues in the spiritual realm, you know. And that's the part of the tripartite nature that I spoke about, the spirit and the soul. So the spirit and the soul, from the source that it came from, there's laws that govern it. You know, there's laws that govern it, that when that spirit and soul comes into the temporary body on planet Earth, for that spirit and soul to achieve exactly what it was designed from its creator, it has to abide by some certain rules, the same laws that governed it where it came from. If it could abide by those rules, if it could abide by the laws of you know, its creator, the laws of its source, I should say, then it would be in the position to fulfill every single, or walk into every single, that's a better way to say it, walk into every single purpose that it was designed or created for, or that it's experiencing in life. And you know, that's where the law of attraction comes in, and that's why they say the law of attraction is so powerful, you know, and that the law of attraction, you know, if you know it to the depth, to the core of it, and you know all its attributes, it's guaranteed to work for you. It's just like a law of seed time and harvest time. It's undeviating. It would have to work. And what is the law of attraction? The law of attraction simply is that anything that we think, you know, or we believe, or the energy that we project, you know, outwards, is what we would attract. You know, and if you look at those things, the thoughts, energy, beliefs, those are unconscious things, because our thoughts can't be seen. I can't predict my next thought, you know, because a thought would just come into my head. I can't predict it. You know, I could say it after I've thought of it, but the next thought that's going to come into my head, I can't predict it. Neither could you. You know, so it's a thought. And the energy I project as well, it's the same thing. You know, maybe through my character, people could sense what kind of energy I project, but you know, I don't. You know, someone could say, "Oh, you're constantly moody." You know, I might not know that, because I'm not feeling that. You know, I'm just in awareness of myself, and I'm just being myself. So I might not be, you know, at that point in time, conscious of the fact that I'm projecting moody energy. You know, and so is beliefs. You know, so your thoughts, your energy, and your beliefs, that is what works with your source. You know, that's what works with your spirit, and it connects with its creator, because the creator really doesn't connect with your physical being. Your physical being is just sensory organs, isn't it? Like your hands, your eyes. You know, the thing that connects with your spiritual being, or your source, or your God, or the universe, is either your thoughts, your energy, or your beliefs. So therefore, if in a way you're thinking of something, and you're giving the right energy to it, and you're believing it, which indirectly is faith, you would get what you want. That's why it says, faith as small as a mustard seed could say to this mountain, be lifted up and ye cast it into the sea. But you know, some people, they constantly complain that the law of attraction doesn't work for them. And why the law of attraction doesn't work for them is this simple reason. It's because thoughts, energy, and beliefs are invisible. They're not visible to the eye. So the law of attraction only attracts what these three things, the thoughts, the energy, and the beliefs, takes to the source, or takes to God, or takes to the universe. You know, if whilst your mind is projecting thoughts, energy, and beliefs to the universe, your physical parts of you know, your tripartite nature is not in, or is countering those intentions, or is not aligning with those. So you're saying, I want money, I want money, I want money, but you're not doing anything at all to gain that money, and you're thinking, oh, I'm just broke, you know, but I want money, but I'm broke. And most of, you know, what you think of is about you just being broke. You're not going to get that money. You're thinking, oh, I want to have a steady relationship, and you're just thinking to yourself, every time you meet a girl, it's just not going to work out. It's not, you're not going to attract the girl that is going to work out with, because your energy is thinking one thing, but your physical being is projecting something else. And that's where even scientists, I think I've spoke about this before, they talk about this thing that's called cognitive dissonance, where what your actions are saying just doesn't align with what your thoughts are doing, and then there's a friction, and then in that essence the laws of attraction would never ever work, because the attraction part of it is not attracting what you physically want, it's attracting what your unconscious minds want. So if your conscious minds, your eyes, you see, if it's not aligning with the unconscious mind, my guy, it's just wishful thinking. I'm telling you, you're going to sit there thinking all day, nothing's going to work, because everything is not aligned together. It's all in disarray. So that's therein, I should say, is where a lot of people find out or realize that the law of attraction never works for them, and it's off that simple premise that because law of attraction only attracts what you unconsciously want. Remember a few posts ago I spoke about the subconscious mind and how the subconscious mind, it takes things from the infinite intelligence, and the only thing the subconscious mind takes or accepts is, the only thing the subconscious mind does is that it accepts things. So, and the physical part of our being doesn't interact with infinite intelligence, because the physical part is not the connection. That our thoughts, energy and beliefs is the connection to the infinite intelligence. So when we project those thoughts through the subconscious mind, our physical being has to be in line with it. If it doesn't align with it, whatever our physical thoughts are projecting, so we're thinking to ourselves, oh, we want this, but our mind is saying something different, and we're thinking, oh, but we want money, but our mind is saying, oh, we're always going to be broke, or we're saying, oh, we want to get this job, we say, but I'm not qualified enough, or it's never going to work, because between your physical being and what your mind is taking to the source, the intelligence, God, it just doesn't tally. It's like in accounting they say you've got to balance your books. It's just not balanced. Your books are not balanced. So that's what it. And some people might ask, why do you call this? Why do you say God, source, universe? Why don't you relate it strictly to God? And the thing is that I don't like to sound super religious, though, my fundamental background and all that I say is on biblical perspectives. Do you understand what I'm saying? But I always think there's a right place, there's a right thing for the right place. Right place for the right thing? Right thing at the right place, however it's said. Even Jesus, when he went to the wedding, he turned water into wine. He didn't go there and start preaching to everyone and say, yeah, you want to drink wine? Never. But so there's the right thing at the right time. But be you not dismayed, or don't get it twisted at all. My fundamental background is based on biblical scriptures, and that's where all these come from. But again, we live in a physical world, so you still have to study how things work in the physical world. You put them all together and you get the best of both of them. And that's why I don't really need to sound super spiritual, but as I said, the next layer from what I say, if you dig deep into it, is based all off of my Christian or my Pentecostal values. So that's that. So as I was saying before I sort of diverted, the law of attraction itself could only work in that way when there's an agreement. And how do we get to that place where we continue to align our thoughts, what we think or what we send out to God or the source or the infinite intelligence? How do we align our place? That's the part that I want to talk about today, because although the law of attraction in itself is one word, you could attract these things, but as I clearly said, if the rest of your body or the rest of your thoughts are not aligning with what you're attracting, you get the ideas, but they would hover here and nothing would happen. So the simplest form of what I would call the twin brother of the law of attraction is simply what they call the law of creation. And the law of creation is just simply to create, isn't it? Just take action. Even going back to the law of attraction, when you look at the law of attraction, when you break the word it's like breaking the word impossible together. Some people would take the I and the M and then write I am possible. Fair enough. And then when you look at the word attraction, you have attract, and then if you put a hyphen in there, or if you break it into two, you have action. Attract, action. So it simply says that the mind should attract, but the rest of the body should act. The physical body should act. If you attract and you act, then you would get attraction, which will make it work. And that is why I think the law of creation is so important, because the law of creation is just simply to create, it's simply to take action. When you take action, you're creating a circumstance. And when you get up and you make a move, you're developing a circumstance that wasn't there before. You're going a step forward. Even when the world was created, there was some form of action that was projected, be it by words of God, but there was some action. God just didn't go mute and in his thought attract that the world should be and it was being. No, he had to project the voice, or he had to say something. He had and it's quite important, and it works in all areas of taking action like that, because when we take action, we create. When we take action, we open doors that we don't know that are there. There's a lot of people, they familiarize themselves with the law of attraction, but in no way understand that the law of attraction is not just sitting back and wishing. The law of attraction is there. It's attract and action. So the action part has to be taken part, and that action part is the onus is of that action. It dawns on you. When we have an attraction, or when we attract things, like we get ideas put into our heads. I call these ideas gifts from God, because sometimes these ideas that we get, we're undeserved of them. As I clearly said, we can't project on. I can't predict what my next thoughts would be. I could only say it after I thought about it, but I can't really say this is what I'm going to think about next. Because just in case I might not think about it. But when we sorry, my phone was ringing. When we get ideas, that they're gifts from God, and I think God, or the universe, or the source, whatever you want to call it, it's not by us, because it knows that everyone that they give these ideas to, or everyone that attracts these ideas, are not all the people who are going to use it. These ideas are given to quite a number of people, 4 or 5 people at the same time. So many times you'd realize you have an idea, you don't act on it, you sit, sleep, or shit on it, and then you see, a few days later or a few months later, you walk down the road and you see someone with that same idea who's made it manifest and started to generate funds from it. And you sit there biting yourself like, oh, why didn't I act on it? Why didn't and I think that's the universe, God doesn't like anything to waste. It's like the story of the guy with the talent. He gave one 5, he gave one 4, he gave one this. He probably knew one's gonna bury it in the ground. But he still gave it to them. Unequally anyway. And then one, made it turn to a lot. One thought, Lord, Master, I know you take away, you don't reap, so I buried it so you could have it. And that's just how it is. So we would get these ideas. It's the onus is fall on us to apply the law of creation, which is taking action. The law of creation, which is taking action, meaning that we need to bring that idea into life, because if we sit and we get the idea and we don't act on it and we don't bring it into life, how on earth, is it supposed to manifest? How on earth is it supposed to come into its physical being? How on earth is it supposed to, be rolled out into the world and affect someone in a positive manner? That's why they say the graveyard is one of the richest places, that when you go to the graveyards, there are tons of people who were buried with, with their multi-million ideas that was never manifested because they just kept it as ideas. They decided not to take action, and and my brothers, that I hope none of us that listen to this post would become like that. I feel like, because of what we learn, because of what we know, because of how open information is in the world that we live in today, we have no reason not for any of us, not to fulfill or not to walk into every single plan that has been designed for our tripartite nature and our actual self on this planet of Earth. So I was just saying, many people get these ideas and they just talk themselves out of it. Some people, they talk themselves out of an idea, because of negativity, because of lack of confidence, because of, what could I call it? Just laziness, the thing is, when ideas come to you, you might have been thinking about something, and that's why I said no one could ever predict their next thought. So you might have been thinking about something, you might have an issue in front of you, and you might be thinking day in, day out, how am I going to get this solved? How am I going to do this? And then all of a sudden, boom, an idea just comes to your mind. And when this idea comes to your mind, or the part that doesn't allow you to achieve it begins to talk to you and say, oh, what if you start to invest in this idea and it doesn't work for you? That might be all your money gone. What if you decide to apply for that job? Or what if you decide to take that further education and it doesn't work for you? Do you know, the minute you start putting those negative thoughts in there, there's a sort of energy that comes with those confessions from your mouth, because the minute you start to say, what if it doesn't work, you could see your whole countenance just draining downwardsly. But and that's the what if down kind of analogy. If you use the what if up kind of analogy, you could say things like, what if I do this thing and I become grateful, I become successful at it? What if, I take that exam and I pass it? Can I imagine the doors that could be open? What if, I stay faithful and inside of you, there's, there begins to, I'm not sure if the right word is galvanize. There's something just begins to rise up in you. There's some kind of energy that just begins to rise up in you, all even into your cheekbones, into your brains, that just get you excited. Enough energy for you to thrive and sort. It's like weather the storms, whatever storms that you think you might be facing. It just goes strictly into oblivion there, because you're not even thinking about it. You're just thinking about all the positive. And that's the what if up analogy. The beauty of it is that we're in control of those thoughts. You could either decide to use the what if down thoughts and let that downward thoughts talk you and suppress your whole mindset, attitude, physical being down from creating that idea and bringing it into life. Or you could use the what if up, and just get excited and that, because when you get an idea and it comes into it and you use the what if up sort of analogies, there's the energy around you could cause you to start taking action, so you're not going to sit there and start draining yourself or draining or leak, like sort of unplug the verb of the air of a tire, and just get the tire just leak away. You begin to It's like there's just so much energy in you. That energy is enough for you to begin to take action and begin to start taking little steps that will bring the manifestation of that idea in there. You can begin to write it down. You can believe in yourself. You can believe into you could start to believe in your own divine nature, in the nature of the source that gave you that idea, and so much things. And then you just begin to take actions. And remember, it's the law of attraction. The more you begin to take actions, the more everything begins to agree, and you're taking steps forward. The more, even when you get to that road, another source, you attract another source, you attract another energy, and and that's how people make it. That's how successful people that I've read of, that's how everyone's made it. I used to, talking about these things, I used to wonder when I used to go to clubs, and I've got friends, and when I say these things, I always have friends that, even though they might not put a comment there, they could testify to it. Yeah? I always used to have friends that I used to think to myself, these are days when I used to club. Every time I go out into a club, whether it's Nigeria, whether it's London, whether it's Dubai, I will catch a fight with a bouncer. Always catch a fight with a bouncer. I used to think to myself, why am I the only person out of 10 of us? Prime example, 10 of us might be going into a club. I probably might be the one who is, and I don't mean it in any form of disrespectful, who might be buying the drinks. So I'd be like, yeah, we'll be going into the club, or paying the drinks. We'll be going into the club, 10 of us, and they'll say, everybody stand to the side, okay, so I don't really know no bouncers at this time. I don't know no club owners. I just go to clubs, I enjoy myself, have a drink. So they might turn around and say, so the person who knows the bouncer, who's part of my friends, might say, Mr. A, okay, where is your crew? And then it will say, yeah, how many of them? They'll say 7. So, okay, yeah, you guys start to come in now. And then they'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And me, I never like to sneak myself in front. I would always stay at the back just to make sure everybody that I came with goes in. Although I don't know the bouncer, but everybody probably came with me. So, and then when it gets to me, when the head count gets to me, they'll say, oh yeah, stop. End of, and bounce me. I used to think, what's wrong with these people? And it's not once, it's not twice, it's not every single time. Or I would go into a club and I'll be standing. There's one time I went to a club in Nigeria, and people could testify this. I was standing with a whole bunch of people like this. I was just standing, and one woman just walked past. I said, "Why did you press my bum?" I was like, "Are you silly? I'm standing just here." I just ignored her. The next thing she did, she went off, came back with one big hefty man, and that one started putting his finger in my nose you press my babe, you press. I was like, what? Are you okay? And that night just turned to a massive fight, like a crazy fight. But what was operating then was simply the law of attraction, because I always used to think, even before I left home, because it happened once or twice, even though I really don't want no fight, my physical body doesn't want no fight. I'm not the biggest guy, I might look tongue, but I'm not the biggest fight guy. But in my mind, I always used to think, oh, we're going out today again, I'm gonna fight. Until we get up to the club, I'll be thinking, oh, I'm gonna fight. So as much as my physical body doesn't want it, my thoughts are preparing myself for that altercation, because that's what is, and then ultimately I get what I want. Ultimately I get what I want. So that's just how it works, and that's just a prime example. And you could relate that to any situation you're facing in life. The idea is to, create that tunnel between your physical being and your God, your source, the universe, and, make your physical thoughts, let it align with what be in control of your mind. Don't constantly be in a negative situation. Don't constantly see what your eyes physically see, your 5 senses. Don't let that determine what your spiritual sense or what your thoughts, your energy, and your beliefs will send over to your creator, your God, your source, your universe. And so we have that power to control our mind, control our thoughts, control everything we do. You know, life is always going to be a roller coaster. Don't get me wrong. Never think, you know, it's always going to be que sera sera and everything's just going to roll easy. No, but hey, how's the best way to enjoy a roller coaster ride? You know, a roller coaster, you know, go up, down, but the best way to enjoy it, sit down, relax, strap on your seatbelt, and just enjoy the ride. The more you enjoy it, the more you attract things that enjoy. If you continue to say to yourself, I'm just gonna be, the more you're gonna be attracting fear. You're gonna be attracting things that scare you, the things that, you know, limit you from going out there and fulfilling that grand purpose that your tripartite nature was filled from. I hope this blesses someone. I had to clap because I actually like that myself. But I hope that blesses someone. And until I speak to you again next time, have a lovely weekend. Good night and God bless. Peace.